Good evening. Happy early Tuesday evening. It is Nikki Stees here for some NFL free agency discussion. We're going to sit down for a little bit and discuss a lot of the main moves that have been going on early through free agency. So enjoy by your computer. We've got a lot to talk about. Right now on a separate tab on my computer, I have CBSSports.com up with the updated moves that each team have made, including both signings and trades. So what I'll do is give you an overview of that. First, I'm going to try to share the screen with you, and the reason I say try is last time I did this, I was unable to successfully share. Hence, we're going to try it again and see what the results are this time. Now, let me get to it, see what happens. If not, I'm just going to read it off from the screen and then give you my thoughts on some of these. And there he is as of right now. All right, it's working perfectly. I will be discussing it right there in a minute. Going to give it a few more moments right there. Now, so far I've been uploading some short videos on my channel, giving an overview of a lot of the different moves being made in free agency. Now, I did do a couple short videos, one about the Giants Darren Waller trade, and I did do one about the Rashad Penny trade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you both those short videos on the screen. I'm uploading them to my video clips. And you guys can see what I said on those subjects. Then I'll move on and give a deeper analysis of a lot of the different moves made. One moment before we get this thing rolling. Give people a few more seconds to roll in. If you're just rolling in, you haven't missed anything special yet. For mainly the introduction. Now, I did do on my channel a couple short videos, like I said. One about the Eagles getting Rashad Penny, one about the Giants trading for Darren Waller. I'm going to share those real quickly. See what I said, then I'll go further analysis. The Eagles made their first big move in signing former Seahawks back Rashad Penny. Now, Penny, this is a high reward, high risk signing for me because on one hand, Rashad Penny's a big physical back. He can get physical and he can make plays. Unfortunately, he has a history of injuries and missing time due to injuries, including the most recent season. Hence why I take that stance of a possible high reward, high risk situation. Now, ultimately, we will have to see what happens, but there was a tweet from Miles Sanders thanking Philadelphia organization and the Eagles fans, which indicates that Miles Sanders is on his way out, and they could be hoping that Rashad Penny fills those shoes. We will ultimately have to see what happens. Until next time, signing off. And then, this is what I had to say about the Giants Darren Waller trade. Now, with being a fan of a certain team, you always are on the lookout during free agency of what teams in your division do. You want to see what your rivals are up to and see if they're upgrading or downgrading through that time period through free agency and the draft. Hence why this is a big story as an Eagles fan. The Giants are trading a third-round pick this year to the Raiders for their main tight end Darren Waller. Now, obviously, this is a huge deal for the Giants. That's a big upgrade at tight end. Only thing that's concerning for them is his injury history because he has missed some time the past 2 seasons due to injuries. Now, so it kind of has a similar high reward, high risk dynamic that the Eagles and Rashad Penny does. However, this is an upgrade for Daniel Jones. As long as Waller's on the field, he's got his go-to weapons. So I give the Giants credit on a good move. There you hear my thoughts on the 2 big signings with the Eagles and then the trade with the Giants today. Now what I'm going to do now is get further in depth with these Now I'm going to share the screen with you guys. I'm going to read off all the different teams' moves they made. Let's start right here with the Arizona Cardinals. So far, they got offensive tackle Kelvin Beachum on a 2-year deal worth $15.5 million. And then the big splash of it all is they got linebacker Kaiser White, former Eagle, on a 2-year deal worth $11 million. How do I feel? Interesting one, isn't it? So Kaiser White, after a season with the Eagles, he started off the season doing good, but then the second half of the season didn't do anything spectacular. I personally don't feel he's a loss. And to the Cardinals, what I'm going to say is good luck with Kaiser White on that one. Because if it's the way he played with the Eagles, any indication what's going to happen with the Cardinals, he's not going to be your big answer at linebacker. Now, they're still have to see what else the Cardinals do. But they've also lost a few pieces, too. Now, for the Falcons, got linebacker Lorenzo Carter, 2-year deal. They acquired Juno Smith. Chris Lindstorm, they re-signed. The big splash, though, on this right here is right there. They got safety Jesse Bates on a 4-year, $64.02 million deal. That's their big splash at secondary to upgrade. Jesse Bates, the former star for the Cincinnati Bengals, is now going to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, will simply Jesse Bates itself fix everything overnight? No, of course not. However, it is a big upgrade for that team right there to have that guy there in the secondary. As long as you keep Jesse Bates on the field, he should definitely be an upgrade to help that secondary. But what else are they going to have on that defense to help them out going forward? But I got to give it to them. That's a good signing right there. And you got Caden Ellis, linebacker. And then, of course, the big splash, another nice move is Taylor Heinicke on a 2-year deal. You could possibly start Heinicke. He's a solid quarterback based off what you've seen from him in Washington. You might win some games with Heinicke. Might play decent. Then again, you might not even need him. So we'll have to see, though. And yep, hey, got Ramsey's coming in the building. Thanks for stopping by. Yep, you know it. That's how free agency works nowadays. Because that is the new normal. We saw it last year. Now we're seeing it again this year. We got a few big signings. And yeah, obviously there's more big signings to talk about. As you can tell, I'm going team by team. So yeah, we'll definitely get to it, Rand. We'll definitely get to all of it by the time I'm done. That is for sure. And like I said, Heinicke, absolutely. Heinicke, right. And like I said, Heinicke, that could be, could help win. But you also have, what's the rookie's name? Desmond Ryder? Oh, yeah, Desmond Ryder going to his second season. He could possibly be the starter too, but they might leave it up to a competition between Ryder and Heinicke. And that looks like the road they're going based off this move. They're going to leave it up between Heinicke and Ryder to decide who's going to be the starter. Now, the Ravens, you can see, all they got there is the non-exclusive franchise tag to Lamar, which makes you wonder, are the Ravens hoping for something in return? Is that why they put that on him? Hoping that they're going to get something in return for him. That could be a possibility as to why they haven't really been making much moves. They're probably looking to ship Lamar somewhere. But the question is where? Now, we consider the Falcons a front runner to possibly sign Lamar. However, it doesn't look like that's going to happen now with them getting Ryder and Heinicke on the roster. Unless Ryder's going to get traded to the Ravens, which I don't see that happening. But now with the Falcons getting Heinicke on the roster, I don't know if that's going to happen. So who's that leave for? And the Saints, they already got Derek Carr. Now, who does that leave for options for the Ravens? Or for Lamar, excuse me. Who does that leave? Looks like Rodgers is going to get to the Jets, which I'll get to that in a few moments. I'll get to that later at the end. I'm trying to think now. Who would Lamar go to? I mean, the Raiders already brought in Jimmy G. Unless the Panthers maybe try to make a splash for Lamar, maybe. But now I'm thinking the options for where Lamar's going are limited as of right now. I don't see a whole lot of options now that we've seen some teams make their moves. In Seattle, extended Geno Smith. Obviously, they're looking to keep him. I'll get into that later. But yeah, I think the Ravens are holding out, hoping they can pull off something for Lamar. That's what I think. We will ultimately see what happens with the Ravens. But that's definitely going to be an interesting headline right there with Lamar Jackson, because that obviously still one of the top players when healthy, and he's still fun to watch, and he's still a big name. So I'm thinking somebody out there is going to want Lamar Jackson. Somebody should get him. I feel like there's got to be a team out there somewhere. I mean, now we're looking, like I said, the Panthers. I mean, I don't think the Patriots would try to pull it off. I don't think they're going to try to ride things out with what they have. And the Jets, it looks like they're going for Rodgers, so I don't see them pulling off that move. Obviously, I'm looking at teams out west. I think the Texans are going to draft their quarterback, so I don't see them going for Lamar. And you look out west at a team like the Chargers, obviously they got Justin Herbert. They're not looking for a quarterback. Broncos are stuck with that Russell Wilson deal. They said Seahawks got Geno. I'm trying to think who else out there out west. I mean, I'm starting to look like Lamar's options are limited as of right now. Unless they're working out some trade right now and we find out about it, I feel like his options are limited at the moment. Well, ultimately, we will have to wait and see what happens with Lamar Jackson. I feel like, somebody's got to pull off a move. Someone's got to take that chance, I feel like. There's got to be a team out there willing to do so. We'll ultimately see what happens in due time. But then again, you never know. You could get surprised. You never know. There could be a big surprise. Maybe like a team like Washington gets him. I would not want that to happen because, well, never mind. Scratch that. They have Sam Howell. Never mind. Never mind that statement. Disregard that statement. I forgot about Sam Howell for a second. So, hey, Chad. Good evening. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm stuck on, maybe I'll come back to Lamar's subject if something comes to mind. Now, let's move on, meantime, to the Bills. Obviously, the Bills ain't in the Lamar sweepstakes. They already got their quarterback. What the Bills did do, however, got Matt Milano's got a 2-year extension. Tyler Matakevich got a 2-year deal. Punter Sam Martin, guard Connor McGovern. So you haven't really had anything major from the Bills yet. They've been kind of quiet as far as big moves go. And speaking of quiet as far as anything big, Panthers defensive tackle Shai Tuttle, if I'm pronouncing that right, 3-year, $19.5 million. They haven't made any they have not made any big splash in terms of player sign. However, the Panthers did. We all know what they did with this team, the Chicago Bears. There was a big trade involved. And now the Panthers traded up. They got the number 1 pick in the draft. Which, upon second thought, now I'm rethinking that whole idea that the Panthers could go with Lamar. The only way that's possible is if they're serious about trying to get Lamar Jackson and they want to use that number 1 pick to invest in a wide receiver. But I don't think they're going to do that, because why would you trade all the way up to the number 1 pick if you weren't going to draft a quarterback? I don't see why else you'd trade all the way up to number 1. Like, I could see if the Panthers wanted Lamar and they traded up to maybe number 3 spot to try to get a good offensive guy like wide receiver around him, but you don't trade up all the way to number 1 to pull off a trade with another team for a QB, then sign a receiver or something like that. Maybe you trade up to the 3 or 4 spot for something like that after you pulled off the first trade
but not in this case. So, and they got the number one pick, so obviously they're looking for a QB. However, they're going to have to do something else in free agency too in order to build up that team. Now, speaking of trading picks, we get to the Chicago Bears. The most notable ones are DJ Moore, who they acquired from the Panthers in that trade. That's obviously a big upgrade for them in offense because the Bears need to give Justin Fields some weapons that he can throw the ball to. Now, so far, Fields is a solid quarterback, especially year two. He showed some potential. He made some nice plays on his feet, but the biggest problem is one of the reasons why he's running so much and hasn't really developed as a passer is he doesn't have any weapons. And now with DJ Moore, he at least has someone he can throw the ball to and develop chemistry with. You know DJ Moore is certainly going to be his top option. And you know Chase Claypool, who at best is a number 3 option. He's not the guy you're going to use as the main go-to target successfully. But yeah, now you get DJ Moore, a guy who has shown that he can be a decent number 1 option. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's a good one right there. And you got TJ Edwards from the Eagles. And that could help their linebacking core a little bit. We'll have to see what happens. Tremaine Edmunds. Bears are obviously trying to build up that defense a little bit. And the extended fullback, Kyer Lashgame, if I'm pronouncing that right. And then guard Nate Davis on a 3-year deal. Bears are obviously busy now this free agency period. Now, how's that going to translate onto the field? We got a lot of time to tell, except all I'm going to say is the Bears are at least trying to move in a positive direction. They're at least trying to do something to help make their team better. Now, will it work? I'm not sure. I compare what the Bears are doing now to what the Jets have been doing in recent years. They've at least been trying to rebuild properly. Now, we don't know. Now, so far, the Jets, they've only gotten so far in that rebuild to date, but they're at least we're going in the right direction. I compare what the Bears are doing now to what the Jets are doing the past couple years. They're at least trying to go in the right direction. Now, we don't know if it's actually going to pan out year one for the Bears. We don't know if you're going to see all the results this year, but you're at least seeing the Bears go in the right direction. They should certainly be a better team than they were. And time will ultimately tell when it actually pays off for them. Will it be this year? Will it be next year where they really start to do good? That part will remain to be seen. But they are rebuilding and they're at least moving in the right direction. Now, moving right along to the Cincinnati Bengals. And they lost Jesse Bates. That's a loss for their secondary. And they signed linebacker Germaine Pratt to a 3-year deal. Now, for the Bengals, they do need help on the offensive line. That was, ever since Joe Burrow started, his first 3 seasons, it's been a problem. Even with them playing good as a team, even with year 2 making a run to the Super Bowl and falling short in the big game, and then year 3 making it back to the conference championship game with Burrow there, he still hasn't gotten help on the offensive line. They're going to need to brush up on that soon. So I was expecting them to do something with their offensive line. They haven't done that. Plus, they lost Jesse Bates, who was a key piece in the secondary. So what are the Bengals going to do from here? Now, obviously, there's still time to see what every team does. I mean, it's not the end of free agency yet. All I'm doing is obviously recapping what I'm seeing so far. Hence why I'm talking about the Bengals more in a question mark standpoint than a critical standpoint. My question is, what do they do now? What are they going to do with that offensive line? Are they going to wait till the draft? Are they going to try to trade up a few spots? Are they still looking for the right guys? A lot of questions around the Bengals right now. And question, what do they do to replace Jesse Bates? Do they go with the draft? Do they try to pull off a big trade? Yeah, that part, I did not see that part. I'm sorry I didn't see that part. However, yeah, Patrick Peterson was certainly... Oh, yeah, Cam Sutton. Yeah, I mean, that's the tough part about free agency, man. We as fans all deal with our teams losing some pieces. We all have it. I mean, my team, the Eagles, lost some pieces, and we did get a new piece today that this could work out if it's a guy who can stay healthy, but if he gets injured, obviously I'm talking about Rashad Penny, that's going to be, yeah, but the point is we all do have to come free agency time have to worry about losing some guys, especially now because now guys walk more frequently. Guys get traded, guys sign with new teams more frequently than in the past. It's a lot more common now. So I can feel you on that. We all deal with it. And for the Cleveland Browns, they haven't done anything that's really jaw-dropping to me. Just kind of there. I mean, you see the moves they made right there. You know, Dalvin Tomlinson, he's the most noteworthy name of all the guys they got. And obviously the Browns, I mean, knowing how screwed up their front office is, you never go into a free agency period expecting the Browns to do anything great. I'm sorry any Browns fans are on here. Look, I don't mean any disrespect, but we do not expect your team to do anything spectacular during free agency period. We typically don't. I know last couple of years they were active. You know, last year the Deshaun Watson trade. Now, granted, Watson was a bit rusty. We'll see what he does when he comes back. Next year, we'll see if he returns to form for them or not. That's a big question that remains to be seen. But for now, the Browns haven't done anything special. Cowboys, they franchise tag Tony Pollard, which I give him credit. That's a good move. You know that he's the better back than Zeke currently, and you want to let it be known that you're going to make him the number one back on this offense, on that offense. So that's a smart move by the Cowboys. They got Donovan Wilson, safety, 3 years. But other than that, we'll still have to see what else the Cowboys do right now. That remains to be the big question. Now with the biggest thing they're going to need, though, the Cowboys, is they need Dak to step up to that next level and play elite when it matters. That's really what the Cowboys need. And that's why they're not really making a bunch of moves. It's because they don't need to go out and get a whole bunch of players. What they need is, hey, they need somebody who can help out. They need to pick up a guy in free agency. They need a QB who can step up when it matters most. And they don't have that right now. I mean, they have a QB there, but he hasn't stepped up when it matters most for them. Now, for the Broncos, now we know their big move is making the trade to get Sean Payton to be their new head coach. We also get Mike. They sign right tackle Mike McGlinchey, tight end Chris Manhertz, linebacker Alex Singleton, defensive end Zach Allen. But they haven't really done anything spectacular thus far that's really got me feeling like this team's going to step up. What really is going to come down to is, can the Sean Payton system allow Russell Wilson to return to form? That's the big thing for the Broncos right there. If you're talking form to compete for a championship, no, I don't see that happening. Not in that division. Not where you got Justin Herbert with the Chargers, who's still a solid quarterback. Not when you have Patrick Mahomes, the defending Super Bowl champions in that division. It's not going to happen. Now, moving on, Detroit Lions. And as you can see, they're making a bunch of moves on defense. That is no surprise right there. Obviously, their defense was a thing that was a problem last year. Offense was good most of the season, but defense struggled at times. Obviously, Lions need an upgrade on defense, and they've done that. They got Isaiah Buggs, Cam Sutton, Alex Anzalo, Emmanuel Mosley, and then John Kaminsky. Obviously, they're focusing on rebuilding that defense, which is certainly something they need to do to get better going forward. And obviously, you want to hope that Jared Goff comes back next year and returns to the same form he's at. You're hoping some of your weapons can at least stay. You're hoping you at least have some decent weapons. Now you're moving along to their division rival, the Green Bay Packers. They're caught up in a situation, aren't they? especially at the quarterback position, right? You have to decide between the young guy who's been a backup for a few seasons and the veteran who's been there for you for a while, who's won Super Bowls but is nearing the twilight years of his career. Does this situation sound familiar to another situation the Packers were involved in years ago? It certainly does to me. It was Aaron Rodgers as the young guy who had been a backup, and they had to choose between Favre and Rodgers. Now they had to choose between Rodgers and Jordan Love. And obviously the Packers are worried trying to sort that out. That's why it seems like they're not really as active making moves. And the Packers have only gone thus far, as you see, got one cornerback, Keyshawn Nixon, to a 1 year, $6 million deal. Because obviously they have to do something. They have to make up their decision with Rodgers. I think at this point, if you're the Packers, you got to move on from him. You have Jordan Love on your roster. You have to take a chance on Jordan Love and see what he can do. And remember, if you're the Packers, you've been down this road before. You've been down that road. You've taken a risk on the inexperienced guy, and it worked out for you. You did it with Rodgers and Favre. You took the risk on Rodgers, and it worked out. You think that should definitely give the Packers more confidence to go forward and decide, hey, we're going to go with Jordan Love. We're going to take a risk on it and see how it works out. And then the Houston Texans, now they obviously, they have a long way to go to rebuild. They got Robert Woods on a 2-year deal, formerly the Titans. They got Keenum 2-year, obviously there to be a backup. Especially he's a veteran who's a mentor to the young guys. So it makes sense, especially you're drafting a guy you're hoping to be your future star quarterback. Maybe a CJ Stroud, maybe Will Levis, maybe Bryce Young, maybe Anthony Richardson. You want Case Keenum to be there in a mentor role to that young quarterback. That's a smart move there for a backup QB. That's a smart move. We got Hassan Ridgeway, former Eagle. I got Shaq Mason. They acquired a trade from the Bucks. Got Noah Brown on a 1-year deal. And they're still a long way from really turning this thing around. However, they're at least trying to move in the right direction. So there's a couple of pieces there that indicate they're starting to try to turn the ship around. I can't knock that. And realistically, I can't expect a whole lot from them. Now for the Colts, they got Tyquan Lewis, 1-year deal, defensive end. Kicker Matt Gay, 4-year deal, former Ram kicker. I mean, the Colts, it looks like they're going to mainly invest in the draft. And I think even if they did try to invest in free agency, they're not really going to get much out of this year's free agency, I don't think. So I think if you're the Colts, the best thing to do is focus on the draft and rebuild through that, because you're not really going to get much at the moment. Now for the Jaguars, hey, they're coming off a good season, nice little turnaround. They got tight end Evan Ingram. They franchise tagged him to keep him around. CJ Beathard, obviously on a backup contract. Got Andrew Wingard, 3-year deal. Roy Robertson Harris, 3 years. And for the Jaguars, obviously they're not really at this point, they're just adding pieces to the team to make them better. So I'm not expecting them to make any huge moves that are altering. I'm not expecting that from the Jags. Really, it's just about adding pieces. And plus, they have the draft to do that too. Not really surprised by the Jags kind of being quiet. Kansas City Chiefs are the defending Super Bowl champs. You got Patrick Mahomes there. He's still under contract. You still got a lot of good pieces there. Confidence is up. All they got, offensive tackle, Jaywan Taylor, 4-year deal. Obviously, if you're Kansas City, you don't really need a whole lot. Hence why they're kind of quiet right now. They're already in good position as it is. And now the Raiders, Raiders, they've actually been more interesting. They franchise tag Josh Jacobs. They signed Jimmy Garoppolo on a 3-year, $67.5 million deal. I personally think that's a mistake. I think they're paying too much there for Jimmy G. I really think they're going in trying to get too much. They're putting too much into it. I don't think Jimmy G is really that dude right there. Even with San Francisco, when everyone was healthy, they had good seasons. But at the same time, you can also factor that with the Niners too. A lot of good talent there. Jimmy G had some solid backs to work with. You had George Kittle, Deebo Samuel to work with, Ayuk to work with. Now he's going to the Raiders. I mean, yeah, he's got Devontae Adams. Yes, and he's got, as you can tell now, Jacoby Myers. And there's charitable donation by giving the Raiders a win against the Patriots. And that's the irony of it. They got Jacoby Myers, especially after what happened in their game last year. Interesting one, isn't it? Good one. And you got Marcus Epps from the Eagles at safety. Amir Abdul, 1-year deal. You got Brandon Parker, a tackle, 1-year deal. However, I still think the Raiders are in trouble, especially with Josh McDaniels as their head coach. That's why I don't think this is the best move for Jimmy. I think this is a downgrade for Jimmy from where he was with the 49ers. Because you had that situation there with Kyle Shanahan, with good weapons there. Now he's going into a situation with the Raiders where he's got Josh McDaniels as his coach. You saw it end up ultimately coming of Derek Carr, and where he ended up going to the Saints. Do they really think that's going to work out great with Jimmy G? And then you get to the Chargers. The Chargers got QB Easton Stick re-signed, obviously a backup. Chargers still haven't done anything special. Ultimately, we'll have to wait to see what they do. Now, the Rams, this is the price of going all in. You don't have a lot of draft capital. You're not a hot market team for free agency. You've only had one big move. You got a third-round pick, tight end Hunter Long. And they traded away Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins. Yep, now it's time for them to pay the price for going all in. Moving on to the Dolphins, they got defensive back Jalen Ramsey from that trade, like I said. That's a big upgrade for the Dolphins secondary right there. Now, they got They got some help at the secondary right there. And that's a good piece right there to have in the secondary. Jalen Ramsey's been a top corner. He's been to multiple Pro Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. He brings great experience there to helping that Dolphins secondary. He's a big upgrade. Now, also for the Dolphins, a big thing is quarterback. They need to make sure they have a healthy quarterback. And for the Dolphins to get Mike White on a 2-year deal, obviously goes to show they have concerns about whether or not they're going to be able to keep their QB healthy. Hence why they brought in Mike White on a 2-year deal. Feeling that if they need to play him, he's a more suitable backup than what they had last year. And then also they brought back Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. I mean, the Dolphins have pieces to at least be a good team this year and be better than last year on paper, but the question is, can they get it done? How's the QB situation going to work out for them? That's the ultimate questions for the Miami Dolphins. It looks great on paper, but we'll have to see how it pans out on the field. It was similar to last year. It looked great on paper, but even though they made the playoffs, it didn't really work out as it looked. With them barely sneaking in and getting eliminated in the opening round. Now we move on to the Minnesota Vikings. They need help on the secondary. Thus far, all they got was Marcus Davenport, 1-year deal. They have to do more than that to upgrade on the secondary for next season. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell, he's a better coach than Mike Zimmer. However, that defense still needs some work. I get you're bringing in Brian Flores to help a defensive coordinator. And sure, maybe Yuri can help. He's a better defensive coordinator than what you had. However, you're still going to need some upgraded players. Now, maybe they're waiting for the draft and they're going to invest on fixing up that defense in the draft. That might be what they're going to do. We'll ultimately have to see. Now, for the Patriots, Bill Belichick, what's going on? Are you starting to get a little soft and out of touch? He just got 1-year deal. James Furnitz, a guard. Defensive back Jonathan Jones, 2-year deal. Offensive tackle Calvin Anderson, 2-year deal. Nothing really that impresses me. And I really think the Patriots, I think Bill's starting to lose a little bit touch with the times. Look at some of his recent drafts. They haven't been that good. I feel like, Belichick, they're not a terrible team at all, but some of the poor decisions they've made in recent drafts have put them in the position they're in. They went all in shopping on wide receivers in 2021. They didn't really get the value they were hoping for in return. And now, what do you do at quarterback? Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi? As Bill Parcells, his former mentor, used to say, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a starting quarterback. Patriots got to sort that out and sort it out quick. Now, for the Saints, Derek Carr, 4-year deal. Juwan Johnson, tight end. Michael Thomas back. Jameis Winston back on a backup deal. Might as well. You need someone to be your backup, right? But ultimately with the Saints, we'll have to see, man. Last year they were wrecked due to injuries. And certainly Derek Carr is better than Andy Dalton, that's for sure. Meaning as long as he's healthy, they have their upgrade at quarterback. However, how's it going to play out during the game? How's it going to play out during the season? How's the team going to fare? Are they going to stay healthy? Those are a lot of questions surrounding the Saints. So, it looks like they've made some decent moves on paper, but how's it going to work out? And plus with Michael Thomas, is he going to be able to stay healthy? Those are huge questions right there for the Saints. Now for the Giants, they made some interesting moves. You got Saquon, they franchise tagged. Brought in Matt Breida as a backup back, decent back. Sterling Shepard back. Daniel Jones back. However, Jones' extension, right now, you know what it reminds me of? I'll tell you, it reminds me of Blake Bortles getting that extension after that one NFC championship game they had back in 2000, after the 2017-18 season. That's what this reminds me of right here. Reminds me of that move right there. And you're hoping if you're the Giants, it's not the same situation as it was with Bortles and the Jaguars. You're hoping that this risk pays off. And the big move, like I said, they got Darren Waller at tight end. He's going to be their main weapon now for them. And Darren Waller, he brings a lot of experience to the table. He can help work with the rest of the receiving core, and he can help make them better. Especially at tight end, he can help make them better. And that was just me plugging in my laptop, that's all. Or my Mac, excuse me. That's all. I'm just plugging in my Mac real quickly. But back to it. Like I said, the Giants, I give them props. That's a good move with Darren Waller right there. So they got their splash they needed right there to help Daniel Jones. Now we'll see what they do next from here. But, hey, they're trending in the right direction, the Giants. They got themselves a good coach in Brian DeBall. They got themselves some good pieces going. We'll ultimately have to see what the Giants do to follow up from here. Now I move on to New York Jets. The Jets, they got linebacker Quincy Williams, 3-year deal. Chuck Clark via trade. Greg, the wide left leg Zuerlein, they re-signed. Alan Lazard. Now, obviously the Jets, we know what they're looking to do. There's one particular player the Jets are interested in bringing back to the fold. That is, or excuse, not bringing back. What am I talking about? Oh, there's one player they're interested in bringing into the fold. Mr. Aaron Rodgers. We know last week the Jets met with Rodgers. They talked with him. Obviously, they want Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. They feel like Zach Wilson's immature and doesn't have this, the leadership and the maturity as a QB to be the guy long term, which is why they're looking to go in for Aaron Rodgers. First question is, will he actually join them? All signs are indicating yes. All signs are indicating not a matter of if, but when. The question is, A, if it is true, when what happened, and B, is it actually true? That remains to be seen. However, that's obviously why the Jets haven't been doing a whole lot, because they're waiting on trying to get Aaron Rodgers in, hoping that this will be the splash to get them in the mix. Now, if it does end up happening, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming on here and talking about it for sure. I will definitely come on live and talk about it. However, we will ultimately have to wait and see what happens. And who knows, maybe it's being confirmed as I'm talking about it. Maybe I'll have to come right back on here after I'm done this stream and do it again. We'll see. Yes, but for now, the Jets, we'll wait to see what they do. It's all about Aaron Rodgers or bust for them with this free agency period. We'll see. Now, for my team, the Philadelphia Eagles, if you've been following my channel, you've been seeing I've been dropping on them YouTube shorts about it. Obviously, comes free agency, you're going to lose some pieces. Obviously, Kaiser White's gone. TJ Edwards gone. Javon Hargrave gone. Now, they did get back Brandon Graham, and they got Rashad Penny. Now, Rashad Penny, it's indicating to me that Miles Sanders is going to be on the move. Plus, he gave a thank you tweet to the Philly organization. That's telling me that he's going to be on the move, referring to Miles Sanders. So what do the Eagles do from there? What do they do? Get Rashad. Now, what do they bring in Rashad Penny at running back? Now, hopefully it'll work out. I mean, yeah, he can play good. He has talent, but can he stay healthy? That's my concern with Rashad Penny. That's why I'm a little bit concerned about it. Concerned to see, can he stay healthy? If so, what is he going to do on the field for him? That's the big question right there. Now, ultimately, going to have to wait and see what happens. See if he does stay healthy. But yeah, it's obviously the Eagles. There's still plenty of time. We're going to have to wait and see what else they do, too. However, so far, yeah, obviously they're going to need to make some upgrades. They're going to need to pull off another move or two for agency, do something during the draft to stay in contention. Now, knowing Howie Roseman, how he's been in recent years with some of his moves, there could be something in, he could be waiting on something. He could have something big planned like he did last year. Remember last year we thought he wasn't going to take any big risks through free agency. Then all of a sudden draft day, he made his big move, the trade with the Titans to acquire A.J. Brown. Maybe that's what's going on this time around. Maybe he's waiting to make that big move. However, we will have to see what happens there. Now, for the Steelers, as Chad pointed to, they got Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson, that's a nice upgrade there, the secondary. Now, they got Patrick Peterson and Minkah Fitzpatrick, the two ball hawks right there. That's a good move for their secondary. You got Nate Herbig on a 2-year deal at guard. But what else is coming with them? That's a good question, though. I think Steelers are going to need more. One of those things is they're going to need Kenny Pickett to develop throughout year 2, which he very well could. We'll have to see about that. I think Patrick Peterson, that's a nice pickup for their secondary. That's at least a step in the right direction. For the Steelers, though, what else are they going to do with moves, and what's going to happen with Kenny Pickett come season time? That's my big questions right there. So for the 49ers, yikes, they added Javon Hargrave at defensive tackle. Now, that's a nice move right there for them. I give them that. And they got him for a good price, too. 4 years, $84 million. That's a good deal to throw out to a player when you can afford to pay him to get him to come to your team. And yeah, that is good right there. You got Tayshaun Gibson at safety. Wow, those are some huge moves right there. And second, we got Bill Jennings in, Bobby Wagner to the Steelers. Wait, so we got Bobby Wagner to the Steelers and okay, so far I'm looking it up right now. So far, I don't see anything yet on Bobby Wagner. I don't know if it's just you putting out what you want to say. Maybe that's what you were intending there by the comment. But yeah, that so far nothing has been done yet with Bobby Wagner. Maybe that's something that you're wishing for. So far, yeah, I just looked. Yep, wish list. I figured. But thanks for clarifying what you meant by that. And maybe there is a possibility that happens. Maybe he does come back. We'll see. I know the Steelers, well, like I said, they are interested, so maybe it might happen. Your wish might come true. And so, yeah, and for the 49ers, as I was saying, obviously an upgrade, Javon Hargrave. That's good for their defensive line right there. They already got a talented team as it is. Now they're adding Javon Hargrave to the mix. That's really going to help them out on defense. But here's the big thing the 49ers really need to actually have a shot at winning. They need that quarterback. Now, Sam Darnold is not the answer. What I think's going on is they're looking now between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Maybe they're leaning toward Brock Purdy being the guy, but they know he might miss some time, so they're bringing in Darnold. They feel like he can help them out early in the season with that team around them. They'll at least be good enough to win some games early. So that's probably what I think they're doing with bringing in Darnold on that one-year deal, which if that's the way they're doing, which I'm sure that is, that makes sense right there. He's not a bad move. For the Seahawks, they got Geno Smith back on a 3-year deal. Looks great on paper, but here's the thing. Can Geno Smith have a repeat performance from last year? Can he build off what he did last year? Or is he going to regress? Is he going to show he was just a one-year wonder? That he just had one good season? And then is he going to go back to being irrelevant by the end of the season? That's the big question with Geno Smith. Has he actually turned a corner on his career, or is it just one good year? I'm waiting to see on that. That's going to be the huge question for the Seahawks. And then they got Tremont Jones at 3-year deal. Honestly, that Seahawks defense got better. Obviously, there's still time for them to make a few more moves. And plus, they got some draft capital for the future from the Broncos, which helps them out. I'm not surprised the Seahawks haven't really made a whole lot of moves yet. However, the moves they made, obviously, it's the big question with Geno Smith. Does he follow up from here? Where does he go? Tampa Bay Buccaneers has been kind of quiet right now. They got defensive back Jamil Dean. And for the Bucs, not really too hot on the market right now. Brady's retired, so at least it looks like he's officially going to be retired this time, but you never know. You never know. However, for the Buccaneers, it looks like it's over with Brady, at least for them. So it feels like they're irrelevant going forward. I just don't really know. I think the Bucs are going to start to slowly regress. And I don't think there's going to be too many guys going to their team. That's just the way I see it. We'll have to see what happens ultimately. But I don't see much coming out of them. And so nearing the end of this, we got two teams to talk about. The Titans and the Commanders. Titans are clearly looking to rebuild. They're clearly in rebuild mode. They got Malik Willis. However, I don't know what Mike Vrabel was thinking there benching in those final two games, thinking Josh Johnson was going to win those games. I mean, what was winning those games? And he didn't win those games. So ultimately, you risk giving your young quarterback some experience in big games to help him possibly progress as a quarterback. You sacrifice that only to get nothing. That was a terrible move there by Vrabel. And what have they done? They got Andre Dillard at tackle. Good luck with that one. Morgan Cox, long snapper. It looks like they're focusing on the draft at this point. And good luck trying to get people to join you. Good luck, Titans. Now for the Washington Commanders. The team where the drama never ends. I haven't seen anything from them from these moves that's really noteworthy to talk about. Most noteworthy thing is the ongoing never-ending drama of, will Dan Snyder sell the team? I mean, I think they do have some solid pieces on offense. Now, if only they could find a quarterback that could lead them properly, then they could actually go somewhere with it. However, for the Commanders, we'll have to see what Sam Howell does, see maybe what they consider in the draft. And really, that's all. So that's so far what's happened to the first couple days. Obviously, with free agency, there's still going to be more big moves made. Teams are still going to be signing guys. Still got Derrick Henry out there, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers. There's still time for these teams that I just discussed to do something, make some moves, to try to improve. We'll ultimately have to see what happens. So that's all I really got to say for now. I'll be keeping my eye out on free agency. I'll be definitely coming back sometime later this week, next week, doing another similar stream like this where where I'm discussing some of the moves made in depth. So that's all I got to say for now. Everyone that tunes in, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please do me a favor and drop the like. And if you enjoyed this stream, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on more live streams and some YouTube short videos. So, have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. And until next time, it is Nicky Stees signing off.